Alright, what's up everyone, I'm Loki, and today we're going to be taking a look at a recap of the Week 13 matchup between the now 8-4 Seattle Seahawks and the 5-7 New York Giants. This game was just a complete and utter disappointment for the Seahawks offensively, and defensively it wasn't that great either. The Giants in the third quarter had a ton of rushing yards and they just really got their run game going, and our defense really just couldn't stop it whatsoever. But the defense overall throughout the entire game played well enough for our offense to go and get the win, but the offense just underperformed. We got completely outplayed by the Giants basically the entire game. And it was really disappointing to see, but honestly, it's kind of just what you expect. The Seahawks seem like they can never really have a normal game and come out and just play well and beat a team when they're the favorites to win the game. It just seems like whenever the Seahawks are favorites, the game's always close. The Seahawks can really never win a game by more than 2 scores or something like that. But next week against the Jets, I swear, if we do not score 30 or more points and actually beat them by more than 2 scores, I will be so disappointed in this team. And if we lose, oh boy, I don't even know what to say if we lose that game against the Jets. The Jets actually played somewhat decent in their game against the Raiders, but then they realized that they actually have to lose if they want to get the #1 pick, so they just basically did an all-out blitz when all the Raiders could do was a Hail Mary. So the Jets, it looks like they're trying to lose. So if the Seahawks find a way to lose to the Jets next week, that'll be completely disappointing, but honestly, I wouldn't be that surprised. But like I said earlier, the Giants just completely outplayed the Seahawks. Full credit to the Giants defense and the Giants run game. Colt McCoy didn't really play too well, but he didn't need to because Wayne Gallman played really well, Alfred Morris played really well, and the Giants defense just completely and utterly dominated the Seahawks basically the entire game. But when it comes to the stats for this game, Russell Wilson completed 27 of his 43 attempts for 263 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and he was sacked 5 times. And for the Giants, Colt McCoy played a decent game. He completed 13 of his 22 passes for 105 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He was sacked twice. Really, Colt McCoy's job today was to be the game manager. The Giants wanted to come out, run the ball, play good defense, get a lead, and just hold that lead, and that's exactly what they did. They didn't play well in the first half. They played good defensively, but they really never got anything going offensively. But then in the third quarter, they really got the run game going, and then Colt McCoy, he just played that game manager role. He didn't throw too many interceptions. He didn't have any crazy passes where he was trying to make something happen when there was really nothing that could have happened. He just played the game that he needed to play. He played solid, he handed the ball off, and he made easy, simple passes. And that's what the Giants needed from him. That's what he did. And even without Daniel Jones, the Giants, they had a good game plan to beat the Seahawks, and obviously, it seemed to work pretty well. When it came to the run game for the Seahawks, honestly, we didn't play too poorly. 22 carries for 111 yards, 5 yards a carry. That's not bad whatsoever. Russell Wilson ran it a couple times, had 45 yards. Chris Carson had 65 yards. He didn't play bad whatsoever. The run game was fine. Our passing game really just never got going. We could never get those big plays. And the Giants, on the other hand, their run game was the key part of their offense. They had 31 carries for 190 yards, over 6 yards per carry, and they also had a touchdown. Wayne Gallman was just the guy today. He was getting the plays, he was getting the yards, and he made some really big plays. But even when he didn't make big plays, every single time he got the ball, it seemed like he was going to get 4 or 5 yards pretty easily, and he did most of the time. And then Alfred Morris was the guy to kind of cap off the drives. He had a rushing touchdown on, I think, like the 3 or 4 yard line, and then he had a receiving touchdown. He honestly, they just had a really good running attack. And Colt McCoy, like I said earlier, he was the game manager. He just needed to manage a game, not make any crazy passes, and that's exactly what he did. He had a bad interception pretty early on, but other than that, he played really safe. The Giants, they ran the ball, played good defense, and they beat the Seahawks pretty easily, honestly. A big play for the Seahawks today was the blocked punt right before halftime by Ryan Neal, which ended up in a safety, and this could have easily been a touchdown, which would have put us in a better spot. It would have been 17-17 on that final drive that we had offensively instead of 12-17, but when it came down to it, it could have been a touchdown, but it just wasn't. And I'm going to have a picture up right now where it shows just a frame where DJ Dallas, he could have easily caught this, but you know, a Butterfingers moment, he just kind of let it slip right through the cracks, and he could have easily had this. He could have just possessed it, and then he could have gotten a touchdown, but it ended up going out of the back of the end zone where I don't remember who it was, but someone almost dove on it, but they had their hands out of bounds before they actually ended up getting possession of it. So it did end up being a safety. Could have been a touchdown, could have put us in a lot better spot, but it just didn't end up happening like that. And this was one play that was huge, could have really changed the entire game, but still, it was a big play, really good play by Ryan Neal, just blocking the punt. That's something the Seahawks haven't done in however long, I can't even remember. But really good play by Ryan Neal. Could have been a great play by DJ Dallas if he could have recovered it, but he didn't, and unfortunately it ended up being a safety, which didn't really help us too much when it came down to the grand scheme of things. On the flip side, two pretty bad plays for the Seahawks this game was the fumbled snap from Russell Wilson in the center, and it was kind of Russell Wilson's fault more than last time that this happened, where the center basically just hiked it to his ankles. It was actually just a fumbled snap by Russell Wilson. The center kind of short-armed it, so both sides are kind of to blame. And then the second play was Chris Carson. He just completely just dropped the pass. Russell Wilson had a dump down to him where he threw it straight at him, and it just went off his helmet. He didn't catch it, and then it was intercepted. And honestly, just not great plays. We played pretty sloppy today in the passing game. We had a couple of drops that we could have easily caught, and we probably could have made some plays from there, but really our passing game just didn't get going. The offensive line didn't do too great. We had a fourth string right tackle, Chad Wheeler, in at the end of the game, and he really didn't do too great, honestly. He just let people kind of walk right by him, and honestly, just the offensive line didn't play good. On that final drive for the Seahawks, where we were down 12-17 with under 2 minutes left, where Russell Wilson could have made the game-saving drive. He could have had yet another game-winning drive and just won us the game, put the team on his back, but it just didn't happen. The offensive line didn't hold up on a 3rd and 10, and honestly, this might be foolish by me, but you know, if you're an offensive lineman and you see a guy running straight at your quarterback, I feel like on 3rd and 10 especially, since you're gonna guaranteed lose yards if he does end up getting that sack, why don't you just grab him and try to pull him down? Because I mean, as an offensive lineman, I feel like your main goal is to protect the quarterback and allow, you know, not a negative play to happen. But that play, it's 3rd and 10. If he gets sacked, it's 4th and 18, which it actually ended up being. Like, if you're an offensive lineman, hold the guy, pull him down. It's going to be a holding call. It's going to be 3rd and 20, but at least you live to have 2 more downs instead of 1 down from basically 20 yards away. You know, I feel like that's just something that me as a fan watching the game might just be idiotic to say, because, you know, maybe nothing happens from that play. They decline the penalty, of course, but like, say you get the holding penalty, right? And you hold him, you're either going 10 yards back and it's still 3rd down, or Russell Wilson can throw the ball away and make it 4th and 10 instead of 4th and almost 20. You know, I think overall it's basically a win-win, because if you don't do that, it's a lose. I mean, I feel like that should have been what happened, but of course, I mean, I'm not an offensive lineman, never have been, never will be, but I mean, it just seems, when I watch the game, if that guy's running straight at the quarterback, instead of pushing him into your quarterback, trying to like get like a horse collar or something, just grab him and pull him down, just stop him from getting to your quarterback, let yourself live another down instead of just giving up the sack to make it 4th and 18. Didn't make a lot of sense to me. And then, I mean, the play that we drew up for 4th and 18, there was really not much you could do. You really just had to throw it up to a group of guys, just kind of halfway Hail Mary. But overall, I mean, we really just didn't do good. Our offense didn't do good whatsoever today. The Giants played stellar defense. They really just stopped us from getting anything going. One of the most explosive offenses in the league just didn't do anything today. We had a really nice play to Chris Carson for a receiving touchdown, which, I mean, it was a good play, well executed, well drawn up play, but just our offense didn't play well. And you really can't overcome a bad offense when your defense is not like a lockdown defense, which is going to hold someone to like 1 touchdown. But even with our defense not playing particularly well, they played well enough. We were basically the Giants this game, where earlier on in the season, the Giants defense would play well enough to give their offense a chance to win them the game, but the offense just didn't really win them the game. That's exactly what we had today. Our defense didn't play great, but they played well enough. They held them to 17 points. Normally our offense should be scoring over 20 points, over 30 points, something like that, but you know, the defense, they did their job. They held them to 17 points. That's not bad whatsoever for our defense, which hasn't been good this entire year. And I mean, Russell Wilson in the offense just couldn't get anything done. The Giants played great defense. It was just completely unfortunate game to watch. And you know, it hurts me even more because I was optimistic in the preview. Normally I'm a very pessimistic person where I'm like, yeah, we can probably win this game, but you know, there's definitely a good chance we lose. This game I was like, you know, the Giants, they're coming in, they have a lot of momentum. They won 3 straight games, but it's against weak opponents. So, you know, I'm pretty confident in this game. Pretty confident we'll come in and we'll just stop their momentum and we'll beat them. And of course, me being optimistic for like the first time in my life just completely destroys us. And it makes it feel so much worse because, you know, at least when you're pessimistic, you can be like, yeah, we're going to lose this game. Oh, yeah, you know, we lost this game. Like that Cardinals game, it was definitely a disappointing loss, but I was pessimistic, like, oh, yeah, the Cardinals can easily beat us. And I'm like, yeah, well, the Cardinals are a good team. Kind of expected this to somewhat happen. But this game, I was so confident. And then it comes in and we just play like absolute trash. And we just completely lose the game. And it was against an NFC East opponent. That's the first time an NFC East opponent this year has beat a team that has has a winning record. That is so sad because that happened to us. We're trying to go and win the Super Bowl. That's not going to happen. This is not a team that looks like a Super Bowl contender. If the Giants are going to lock us down, what's going to happen when we play like an actual good defense like the Rams again? Like, we'll probably play the Rams again because they're going to make it to the playoffs, and we're going to make it to the playoffs most likely. And the Rams are a really good defense. Jalen Ramsey completely shut down DK Metcalf last time we played. So, I mean, week 16 against the Rams is going to be a struggle. But if we both play each other in the playoffs, it's not looking good for us. Our offense has just been lackluster for the past few weeks. You know, we've had a couple big plays, but it just hasn't been as good as it used to be earlier on in the season. I think teams have somewhat figured out basically just keep everything in front of you. Make sure Russell Wilson doesn't scramble, and if he does scramble, don't try to get behind him. Like, the Giants did a really good job. All the corners, all the DBs, they kept the receivers in front of them. The linemen, they didn't really chase Russell Wilson into the backfield. They just kind of quarterback contained, and it worked pretty well for them. And I feel like any team can really do this, and teams with more talent defensively can easily just stop us. But yeah, this is not a good look whatsoever for our team moving into the future. Of course, we have the Jets next week. Hopefully we can score about 50 points, hold them to 0, and maybe we'll get some confidence back. But, I mean, and then we play the Washington football team, which, I mean, obviously, they're not a great team. They're in the NFC East, which is the worst division in football, but they could easily beat us too. They have a pretty decent defense, and if they play defense well, their offense doesn't have to be great, just like the Giants. Their offense didn't have to be great. They played good defense. They got a couple scores, and they just held us to not being able to get any points on the board, and that's something that the Washington football team can easily do. I really hope that we beat the Jets. If we lose to the Jets, honestly, I don't know what I'll do, but I'm very pessimistic now about that Washington football team game. And then going against the Rams and the 49ers late in the season, I'm not too confident in those games either now. I mean, of course, this is definitely an overreaction for one single game, but this is a Giants team that we should have easily beat. We were an 11-point favorite for this game, and we lost. That is absolutely atrocious. You know, Vegas most of the time is right. They have those over-unders and the favorites and whatever, but, you know, most of the time they're really close or they're completely right. This time it was just completely wrong. I mean, it's crazy to me how bad the Seahawks played in this game. And, I mean, full credit to the Giants. They played great. They had a great game plan to come in there, run the ball, play good defense. And it really just hurts. It's just disappointing seeing how we played this game, but I mean, what are we going to do except for, you know, move on to the next week and get better? This is basically the first time, or, you know, one of the few times this season where we've lost a game in convincing fashion where it wasn't our defense's fault. But overall, this was a really good game for the Giants, a really bad game for the Seahawks. I saw something from the Giants YouTube channel. They had a preview, and one of the guys that they were interviewing said, they asked a question about Russell Wilson being MVP, being the front runner or whatever, and he said, Russell Wilson, he might be number one now, but when he loses to the Giants, he's going to be completely off the MVP list. And I mean, I watched that and I was like, man, that guy's a bit overconfident for this game. And he was completely right. Russell Wilson, you can't lose to the Giants and think that you're going to win MVP. And the problem with this now is that Russell Wilson going into next season, he's probably going to get an MVP vote this year. So he won't have the same storyline of never had an MVP vote. He's coming to prove people wrong. Now he kind of sucked last year when it came down to the actual games that mattered. Maybe he'll do good this year. And, you know, but Patrick Mahomes is going to be better. You know, Aaron Rodgers is going to be better. It's just not looking good for Russell Wilson when it comes to MVP this year or, you know, any year after, unless he plays absolutely dominant the entire year. Because Russell Wilson, he's never going to get a pass for losing a game because he wins games convincingly and he loses games convincingly. It's just overall, this is not looking good for Russell Wilson's MVP chances. I think it's basically a lock for Russell Wilson not getting MVP, but he's going to get a couple votes, and it's going to ruin the storyline of never getting an MVP vote. He's coming out to prove the haters wrong, and I mean, very disappointing game offensively, defensively, but what are you going to do? Go on to the next game. Hopefully we play fine. Defense played all right. Didn't play great. Let up too many run yards, but I mean, hopefully we do better next game. If we lose to the Jets, I honestly, I don't know. But with that, that's going to do it for this video. I'm sorry for this video being so all over the place and so rambly, but I mean, it's been quite a few hours since the game actually happened, but it's just so disappointing seeing us lose this game against this opponent this badly. It just, you know, I really can't collect my thoughts and, you know, not just rant about everything that went wrong. You know, I could, you know, pinpoint every single thing we did wrong, but this was just a horrible game. There was really nothing about it. Our run game did fine, but I mean, the Giants, they just figured us out. They kept the receivers in front of them. didn't go scrambling all over the place trying to get Russell Wilson in the backfield. And, I mean, our offensive line, once again, did not play well. Our offensive line started, like, the first half of the season, they played fine, but now they're just playing atrocious once again. And, I mean, defensively, we're picking it up from the beginning of the season, but, I mean, we're kind of trading off. Like, in the beginning of the season, we had a really good offense, really bad defense. Now our defense is getting better, and our offense is getting worse. It's just nothing can really go right for this team. We can't play a normal game. We can't just win games convincingly. We have to scrape out games. We have to beat bad opponents or lose bad opponents. You know, it's just completely and utterly just not fun to watch this team right now because, you know, I tried to be optimistic, it didn't work. Once again, I'm going back to pessimism for the rest of my life. But with all that out of the way, let me know down below in the comments what you thought about this game. How disappointed are you? And any Giants fans, how excited are you? How much hope does this give you? But, you know, with that, I'd like to thank you for watching. Make sure you like the video if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Have a great day.